Hello everyone, this is Janelle and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be showing you guys one of my favorite strength weapons that does insane amount of damage. It looks awesome and can be acquired super early in the game. I'll be showing you guys how to get the best damage for it, the equipments I use, talismans, where to find them, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. The weapon we'll be using for this build is called the Grave Scythe. I really like this weapon for a couple of reasons. Number one, it is a strength scaling scythe, which is rare in FromSoftware games. Number two, it has a passive blood loss effect, which means it will do a huge chunk of damage if you hit them enough times. And it is a non-somber weapon, which means you can give it any Ash of War that's compatible with it. We would need 17 strength and 13 dexterity in order to wield this weapon. We'll also be giving it the heavy affinity for us to get the B scaling on the strength. In order to find this weapon, head over to the lake facing cliffs right behind the Stormvale Castle. From the site of Grace, travel west in order to find the graveyard. There will be 3 undead enemies here you can farm in order to get the Grave Scythe. Just double tap them to make sure they're actually dead. The Ash of War we'll be using for this weapon is called the Spinning Strikes, which will basically make you swing your weapon above your head. The damage is really good and you can even press light attack or heavy attack while spinning to do an additional move. The only drawback for this Ash of War is the lack of hyper armor, so we need poise to avoid getting interrupted as much as possible. In order to find this Ash of War, you must complete the Castlemorn questline with Edgar and Irina. Once you defeat Edgar in the Revenger's Shack, he will drop a weapon called Banished Knight's Halberd plus 8. Just go back to Master Hugh in the Round Table Hold in order to extract this Ash of War from the weapon. For our left hand, we would need a seal in order to cast Incantations. Any seal will do, but I like using the ones that have 0 weight on them, like the Erdtree Seal, Golden Order Seal, Frenzied Flame Seal, and the Dragon Communion Seal. Okay, now for the armor, I'm currently using the Knight's Cavalry armor. I'm using it because it's the coolest looking armor in the game, and it keeps us at medium load. In order to find this armor, you must go to the inner consecrated snowfield, side of Grace, and travel southwest until you find this moving caravan. Make sure that you do this while nighttime to find 2 Knight's Cavalry bosses. You must defeat both of them in order to get the armor set. What I like to do is to lure one of them away so I don't have to fight them 2v1. Since this is a late game armor set, just use whatever keeps you at medium load but with good poise. For the helmet, I like using the black hood for aesthetics, but you can also use Var's white mask, which will give you plus 10% damage when you proc a blood loss effect. In order to find the white mask, you must go to Mogwin's Palace. It is important to note that the boss for this area must still be alive, otherwise you can't get the item anymore. From the palace, approach Ledge Road side of Grace, make your way down to the Swamp of Blood here, and then make a left. In this huge area, just walk around and there will be 3 enemies that will be invading you. They all look like Var, so you can't miss them, and one of them will be dropping the white mask. The first incantation we'll be using is called the Golden Vow. This incantation will not only increase our damage by 15%, it will also boost our defense by 10% for 80 seconds. The requirement to cast this incantation is 25 Fate. To find the Golden Vow, you must go to the Bridge of Iniquity, Site of Grace, then travel northwest to find the Corpse Tent Shack. You can just ignore the enemies because they are pretty strong and annoying. You will also get invaded here by an NPC, but the Golden Vow will just be on this corpse. The second incantation is called the Flame Grant Me Strength. This incantation will increase our physical and fire damage by 20% for 30 seconds. The requirement in order to cast this incantation is 15 Fate. To find the Flame Grant Me Strength, you must go to Caelid, then find the Fort Gale North Site of Grace. Around Fort Gale, you will find 2 fire-breathing head thingies, and in between them will be the incantation. The third incantation is called the Blood Flame Blade. Since our Grave Scythe will be under the heavy affinity, we can use this incantation on it. This incantation will add blood loss status effect on the weapon, and since our Grave Scythe already has a passive status blood loss on it, it will make it even more effective. The requirement in order to use this incantation is 12 Fate and 10 Arcane. Now for the Blood Flame Blade, you can easily find this incantation in the Liurnia of the Lakes area. Go to the Rose Church where you can find Var, then go a little bit to the west and you will find this Dung Beetle. You must kill it and it will drop the Blood Flame Blade incantation. The fourth but optional incantation we'll be using is called the Swarm of Flies. This is optional because this incantation can be useful to help trigger the blood loss status effect on the enemy, but you don't really need it since you already have the Blood Flame Blade and the Grave Scythe's passive blood loss effect anyways. You would need 11 Fate and 16 Arcane in order to use this incantation. The Swarm of Flies can be found in the Magwin Palace. From the palace, approach Ledge Road Site of Grace, make your way down to the Swamp of Blood while hugging the wall on your right. You will get the incantation inside the second cave you see. For the Flask of Wondrous Physick, the first tier that you want is called the Thorny Crack tier, which will increase our damage by 9%, 13%, 20% when we make consecutive attacks. This functions a lot like the Rotten Wings Sword Insignia Talisman, but they actually stack together. In order to find this item, you must go to Ordina Liturgical Town, then travel east. You will find a putrid avatar at the Minor Erd Tree, and you need to beat this boss in order to find this tier. Now for the second tier, I'm using the Opaline Bubble tier. Since we will be standing close to the boss, there is a big chance that we will get hit. This tier will negate the damage by 90% but goes away after the first hit. In order to find this item, we must travel to the Weeping Peninsula, and from the Church of Pilgrimage Site of Grace, just keep going south until you find the Erd Tree Avatar. Defeat this boss and you will be awarded with the Opaline Bubble tier. Okay, for the first talisman, we'll be using the Shard of Alexander, which will greatly boost our skill damage by 15%. We need this to increase the damage of our Spinning Strike's Ash of War. In order to get this, you have two choices. The first option is to finish Alexander's questline, which means you will get this talisman super late. The second option is getting the inferior version of this talisman, which is called Warrior Jar Shard. This talisman will only boost our skill damage by 10%, but you can get it as soon as you see Alexander and kill him. For the second talisman, we'll be using the Rotten Winged Sword Insignia. This talisman will greatly increase our attack power with successive attacks by 6%, 8%, then 13%. This talisman is compatible with Ash of War's Spinning Strikes, so our damage will be insanely high. In order to get this talisman, we must progress through Millicent's questline. When making the choice between assisting or fighting her, make sure that you assist her in order to get this amazing talisman. For the third talisman, we'll be using the Bull Goat's Talisman. This talisman will increase our poise by 33% and reduce poise damage taken by 25%. This talisman is pretty useful to help prevent us from getting interrupted when we're using the Spinning Strikes. To find the Bull Goat's Talisman, go to the Dragon Barrow Cave in Kalid and just follow where I'm going. Avoid the bearer and grab the talisman from this corpse. Now for the last talisman, we'll be using the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. This amazing talisman will increase our damage by 20% for 20 seconds when blood loss occurs around us. The Grave Scythe has the blood loss build-up passive effect, so this talisman will be very important and very useful for this build. To find the Lord of Blood's Exaltation talisman, you must go through the Leyndell Catacombs and defeat the boss there named Esger. For the attribute distribution at level 50, my Vigor is 22, Endurance 15, Strength 25, Dexterity 13, and Fate 15 for you to use to Flame Grant Me Strength. For the level 100, I have 40 Vigor, 20 Mind, 20 Endurance, 32 Strength, 13 dexterity, and 25 fate for the golden vow. For level 150, you have two options. The first option is having 56 vigor, 20 mind, 20 endurance, 66 strength, 13 dexterity, and 25 fate. The second option for level 150 is so you can use the Swarm of Flies incantation. For the distribution, I have 50 vigor, 20 mind, 20 endurance, 66 strength, 13 dexterity, 25 fate, and 16 arcane. To prepare for the boss fight, the first buff that you want to use is the Wondrous Physick for the Thorny Crack tier and Opaline Bubble tier since they both last for 3 minutes. The next buff you should cast is the Golden Vow because it lasts for 80 seconds, followed by the Blood Flame Blade because it lasts for 60 seconds, and the last buff that you should cast is the Flame Grant Me Strength because it lasts for only 30 seconds. At the start of the fight, cast your Swarm of Flies if you have it. This will trigger the blood loss around you much faster, which will boost your damage. Okay guys, that'll be it for this build. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more Elden Ring content. Also let me know in the comment section below what weapon you guys want me to make a build for. Thank you all so much for watching and hope to see you guys on the next one.